The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
It's time to BS.
There we go. Oh,
there
we go. Ladies and gentlemen, technical difficulties as per usual. Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. I am Staniel Smooth. I'm coming to you from the beaches of lovely Long Island, New York, and part of the Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Media Networks. And, what do we have here? This is new. Everything is new. This is new. Everything is new. There's new shit going on if you're watching on YouTube. We are live in the Emerald Kingdom studio. So if you are a fan of No Credentials Required, if you're a listener to that show, you might recognize that voice, and you'd certainly recognize the person here in studio, but not here in like person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, coming to you from where the fuck are you again?
I am straight out of Albany, my friend. The ALB. You know, I could get real crazy and be like, yeah, I'm in the village of Colony, but nobody outside of this area will know what the hell that is. So
from upstate New York and this area of Albany, New York as well. El Dusto.
Yeah.
Dustin, what's up, dude?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. All right. This for me is karma, because I left a comment on the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, which you host with my esteemed co-host. Yeah. And you also have a third man. You're like the NWO on that podcast. But I feel like this is karma, because I was kind of, you got three of the same mics, and I was like, you're a special man. Well, guess what happened to me? You text me about launching this thing. This was your brainchild. I'm like, all right, you want to bring me on? I'm in. I feel like this is like we've unleashed some sort of kraken by merging together here.
This is unfortunately my brainchild. You are correct. This is unfortunate. So so the origins of the welcome to Seahawks Sessions, a part of Time to BS and part of the Belly of Sports and Media Networks. I am Staniel Smooth. That is Dustin, who you already know very well. We're two New York Seahawk fans that just so happened to start this stupid podcast, but here we are. So, yeah, the whole live stream thing. Live stream for me has been a pain in my ass because this stinking roadcaster love this thing to death. Yeah. But every now and then one of the ports is going. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what port is going. It turns out it was the very first one. So I'm now using port number 3. Oh, okay. In this case, I'm just because if you go back to a couple Three Rails episodes ago, you'll oh god, it was so bad. We don't talk about Bruno. See, because I did see part of that episode. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that, but we kind of do talk about this particular situation. So, yeah, we're two New York Seahawk fans that just so happen to get into this crap show, but here we are. Dustin, how you doing, man? I'm doing all right. But as I was telling you before the show and during part of the intro, because that's how I roll, I feel like karmic revenge was served to me today, because I was like, oh, he's got 3 of the same mics. They were having technical difficulties. Tough. Oh. My MacBook decided to keep crashing all of today. I had the day off from work, but I had a lovely day. I had a car inspection, and then luckily that was the good part of the day. Everything went fine with that, and they finally fixed a recall that I've had on my car for 2 years, but they never had the part. and so now, what the fuck? Now we're here,
and my computer just started crashing and crashing. So I felt so bad because I'm texting him. I'm like, I'll do the show, but I might have to do it from an iPad. And you were like, cool with everything, but I felt like I was bothering you because I'm like, this thing just keeps like crashing. I was flipping out. And then this is, I mean, I overshare, but this is me. So I have to go to the restroom and I hear someone knocking feverishly at my door. And I'm like, who the hell is that? I can't actually like go and see who it is. Turns out
this person.
I had gotten a notification that my new meter was going to be upgraded by National Grid. And I got this letter, but I got it like months ago and nothing ever happened. So I was just kind of chilling. Well, it turns out they came to install it today. And while I was home, everything was on. My computer was on. It was in the middle of one of my many attempts to fix it. And they just cut my power for like a good solid 2 minutes. and I'm not sure if my dehumidifier works anymore. So
that's just delightful.
We'll see what happens. But I am thrilled to be here with you today, ready to bring my kind of funk to whatever our unholy alliance is. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. The logo is awesome. If you're not watching on YouTube, you gotta watch on YouTube or wherever you can watch live, because Mr. Smooth put it together with this logo. When he texted me this, he was kind of covert. I didn't have any idea. He texted me this on Instagram. He sent me the logo and he just goes, thoughts. I was like, the logo is sick. So here we are.
It didn't click. It didn't click for the first like 2 minutes and go, wait a minute.
Yeah. But how are you, sir?
Oh, I've had a very interesting day. So I've tried to organize. Well, as soon as I got home, I did two things. One, I created this StreamYard board, which took all but 5 minutes. Thank you, Canva, for your, easy going and stuff like that. And I have a toolbox in my apartment, like a big Home Depot toolbox.
Yeah.
Okay. I have two of them. So it drives my fiance nuts because she's like, why do you have these toolboxes here? I'm like, because furniture is expensive. And where else? I don't have a garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, first of all, one of the toolboxes comes in handy because it holds my gargantuan of a printer on it. So that helps. And then it keeps all of my games in there. Like, I have a collection of 20 plus years worth of gaming, ranging from, let's see what I fucking got here. The GameCube, the PS2, 4 different Xboxes, the OG Xbox, the 360, the One, and the Series X is in there for now. The Switch, the Wii, and the PS4. So I have a lot of crap, ladies.
Damn, yeah, you do. You have quite the console collection. I don't quite have that. I'm not as much of like a physical. I am one of the people that went straight convenience, and I've gone mostly digital for everything. I got the PS5 out there. I got the Switch out there. And then I do have my GameCube still in the basement. I got a PS1 in the basement. And special shout out to my mom, as I always shout her out any chance I get. I got an Atari that she and Dad used to have.
Really? The 2600?
Yeah, I believe so. I got to go double check after the show now. Oh, boy. But I don't even know if it works, but I'm just going to use it. Like, I cleaned it up a couple of years ago. I'm going to use it as like a decoration somewhere. Maybe in this very room, because, if you're a longtime no credentials required viewer, you recognize my serial killer walls. I got nothing in here. So I got to spruce it up.
An idea for you. So if you have, to my knowledge, most TVs have only one component port.
Yep.
So if you can find it on Amazon, General Electric of all things makes this.
Oh, okay.
It is an RCA switch box.
Oh, wait, I had one of these, I think. So you could, because I had my GameCube and my PS1 hooked up at a different time, and I could you could put, is it the thing where you push a little button?
Push a little button.
Yep, I've got one of those. They're awesome.
It's so great. The OG Xbox, the PS2, the GameCube, and the Wii are hooked up to this thing.
Oh, nice.
And it's fantastic. the surge protector I had to find for this this collection of stupidity. And every now and then I go back to a simpler time where gaming today, gaming today for the most part isn't. When we were growing up, we had the GameCubes, the PS2, the 360, the old Xbox.
Yeah.
Some people had the original PlayStation, the Nintendo 64 back in the day was fantastic.
Yeah, that was
Sega
my
Genesis.
high school console, the 64. I'm dating myself right here.
It's okay.
But I had an NES back in the day. That was my main for many years.
Yeah, and then we look at gaming today, and it seems that gaming is a majority profit-driven, which is upsetting. Because, I'll go back to Spyro or some shit, and I'll have a blast playing those games. A blast. And then I go play games like Call of Duty today.
Oh, see, I won't play those.
I'm more Halo driven myself because Star Wars, but it's a shame. It's such a shame.
It is, and as we get older, it's tough not to look back on our time and be like, oh, everything was better back then. But I think it's because you hit the nail on the head. It was a simpler time in some respects, and also we were younger. I always say, because one of my buddies, I game with him pretty regularly. He's my friend that I go see in Virginia about twice a year now, and we talk about it. It's not necessarily that things were easier back then, but we were younger, so we had no clue of what was really happening in the world. Where now we're older and jaded, and we do. But I will
appreciate
admit,
the old shit. We
do. We do. And gaming, it's tough. I did watch the Game Awards. I usually watch it. It was a pretty good show. But it's tough. So many people get laid off at gaming dev studios and stuff. The layoffs have been ridiculous. Meanwhile, as you pointed out, gaming is more profitable now than ever. But man, I basically use it as a means to socialize now. I have my few friends that I play online with, and then other than that, I'm a single player.
Good Lord.
Hanging.
I gotta send you pictures of the collection because it's massive.
Oh man, yeah.
It's 3 drawers worth of games.
Oh man,
it's not bad. I love it, but it just every now and then you go, oh man,
yeah.
Oh,
well,
boy.
And obviously you got yourself someone that she understands what she's getting into, because if you guys are engaged, she's cool with it. She's cool.
Now
with
she
it.
does. Now she understands. Took her a little bit to get to it. I said, babe, this is my downtime. This is what I do to relax. You have your crystal lives. I have my gaming. Fuck off. Dan wins every now and then. But yeah, as we stated earlier in the program, we are 2 Seahawk fans that live in the state of New York, and that is a complete and utter shit show to try and watch this team.
Yeah.
I had to get the Sunday ticket because that's I refuse to go to bars to go and watch. It's a disaster, and because it's mostly Jet fans.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan.
It is. And of course, Ryan's always going to get a shout out on this one because we both do shows with him. But it's exhausting to try to watch the team. And I mean, because for years I couldn't get Sunday ticket because it wasn't an option, because the Sunday ticket was always exclusive to DirecTV. And I was just like, I don't want to pay for DirecTV because, I have cable companies. And, but Red Zone has made it easier as well.
Yeah.
And also, I won't get into whatever, but there's VPN stuff out there. You can tell them that you're.
We don't talk about it here.
We don't talk about that there.
Shut up. Shut up. Don't let the internet find out.
But it's mostly Red Zone and everything else. But I will say one of my fondest Seahawk memories. I was in a sports bar near my house for the Seahawks 7-9 division championship year, where they upset the Saints. And the best part was there was a Saints fan, and she had the Drew Brees jersey, and she had eye black. She had eye black.
The eye black of Drew Brees.
Yes, I do fantastic. not. I do
you
not.
Points for that. Points for that. That's fucking awesome.
But she was chirping at me the whole game. I was there with a couple of friends of mine. They're both Giants fans, so they were rooting for the Seahawks. They're there, and she's chirping at me the whole game. And then this drunk Seahawk fan who he's like, I was stationed in Portland in the military, so I started watching the Seahawks in 76. He was hammered. He's talking to me about the Seahawks.
I have the tattoo, okay?
Yeah.
Fuck off, people.
And then, so they win, right? Obviously, they win. And
such a good game.
I'm not proud to admit it, but like I got right up in that woman's face because she had been cheering the whole game and like getting in my face. And I just clapped. I just clapped and I screamed. And of course, that drunk guy with that hat that looked like it was from 1976 probably got the original Jim Zorn jersey too. I don't know. Wow. He comes out. He's like, we won. He's screaming. So that's one of the few exceptions, but I'm with you. I don't want to go to bars to watch this team.
No. How did we'll get into like how the weekend football and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on and stuff like that, but our fandom is weird because like you and I both grew up in different eras of Seahawk football. Like I grew up with Mike Holmgren and Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander, Walter Jones, Steve Hutchins, and that the 04-05 teams.
Yes.
I fell in love with them. And going to school back in the day, it was like the Jets, the Giants, for some reason the Cowboys were in there, and then the Patriots. It was those four. And then I can't remember on the top of my head the game that it was. It might have been the Super Bowl. Because my dad's a Steelers fan. And
God.
I watched that game and I was like, oh, my favorite color is blue. Seattle's blue. There you go. Because I'm like 8 years old and stupid. Here we are. I'm like 7 or 8 years old and fucking stupid. And just like, I had no idea where everything was going on. I just picked the team. And, I was on and off with fandom here and there. But during like the Hasselbeck years, I wasn't watching a whole ton of football. And then when Russell Wilson beat the Patriots in 2012.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
That was the Richard Sherman game where he walked up to Brady and said, hell of a game,
bro?
Right?
You mad, bro? Yeah, that was the you mad, bro game. Yeah. That was for those into football history, that was the turning point, have at you, of the franchise.
Yeah.
2012, week 6 of that season, the defense got into Tom Brady's face, and you can say it was the birth of the Legion of Boom.
Oh, for sure.
So, and then I was, I started watching the team more and more. Obviously, watched the 2 Super Bowl appearances. I'm not proud to admit this, Dustin, but as a fan, I have to admit it. I was a big Peyton Manning fan.
Okay, all right. Hey.
And I picked the Broncos to win by 1.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
I can't remember the score off the top of my head, but I remember going into school the next day after the game. I said, well, that sucked. And then 2 years later, I picked Denver to win again against Carolina, and I shoved it in everyone's face who was bandwagoning the Panthers. And so, the Panthers proceed to kick Seattle's ass in 2015. But, we can go into my rage on Pete Carroll over the years, but it's whatever. How about you, dude? I mean, your story is probably a little more interesting than mine. So
I don't think so. It's similar in some ways because I will tell you, there's a couple factors that led to my Seahawk fandom. Okay. So a little background on me. One, I am a Yankee fan. I am a rabid Yankee fan, and that was passed on down to me by my father. Huge Yankee fan. But growing up, my dad didn't have a football team. He did not root for a football team. He just liked to watch football. And my mom, she liked to play sports. She hated watching them. I respect
that.
so dad, he didn't pass a football team down to me like he did with the Yankees and stuff. And he just, it's still to this day, he doesn't root for a football team. So that kind of left me wide open. So when I was a little kid, I didn't watch much football. I didn't really care for it because I didn't understand what was going on. But then I'm going to tell you, see, we're going to dovetail it without even realizing it. This is the Kraken we've unleashed. Without even realizing it, we're going to bring it all around because gaming led to my love of football because I started playing Madden. Then I started to understand how the game worked. So I didn't start watching the Seahawks until about junior high. That's for me was 97, 98. So I was just before the Mike Holmgren pocket. It's not like I have some history, but it was partially because my dad did not like bequeath a team to me. And also, more background on me, I'm a massive Nirvana fan. Like, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain and my mom are the two reasons I picked up a guitar. They're half the reasons I chose my major in college, my life path, what I wanted to do in my early 20s. And ever since I was 11 years old, I thought I was going to be a rock star. And so I've always kind of had a fascination with the Pacific Northwest. And so then we get to the turning point. So I wasn't interested in football, but then I start playing Madden. Then I'm like, this football stuff's pretty cool. Then I start watching a little bit more. One of the first games I saw back in the day, ESPN had Thursday Night Football, and it was the Seattle Seahawks. This was probably about 2000, 2001. It was the Seattle Seahawks versus the Raiders at the time. I can't remember. I think they were Oakland.
They were still Oakland back in the day. They moved out of Los Angeles and back to Oakland, I think, in the 80s?
I believe so, yeah, because they were Oakland. They were Oakland for like the 70s. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was wild.
But so then it was Ricky Waters. Ricky Waters was on the Seahawks at this time, and he was running, and it was right before Sean Alexander started to take over.
Yep.
That's when I really started watching the team with a lot of regularity. Was like 99. So you're in my era of fandom is not that far off. Mike Holmgren, that's an era that I remember very fondly because I only got into the team with regularity just a few years prior to that. Like the Dennis Erickson years, they were not good years.
Nope.
And also Ryan even admits that Testaverde was not in, for that AFC championship game against the Jets where they lost. But I still hate the Raiders from the Seahawks days in the AFC. I don't really have love lost for the Broncos, but I'll tell you, I hated the St. Louis Rams, but it was mainly because I just decided to randomly pick the Seahawks because I liked it. That game, they were in the rain. I like the color scheme like you. And also, like I said, my dad didn't really have a football team, and the Giants nor the Jets appealed to me. I was like, nah, I don't want to do this. And so I picked Seattle, and it just like, they are the team because I chose them. I did not inherit them because I chose them. This is the team that I live and die with. This is the team that is like, and the thing is, prior to meeting you and a couple now, but prior to meeting you, I was like the only Seahawk fan that anybody knew. So whenever they did anything bad, I got a ration of shit.
Yep.
But when the good stuff started to happen, oh man, were those good years. But and it just we got to go back a little bit because people are like, oh, the Seahawks, they're annoying because they're good.
They were in the AFC back in the day.
Yeah.
Before 2002. Yes, they were in the AFC for the longest time.
Yes.
It was only recently they got in the NFC.
Yeah.
Recently.
And it's also relatively recent in team history that they've been good. They were good. Like that Holmgren run was so magical because it was like the first time since 84 that they were good. And then after that, we don't talk about the Jim Mora Jr. years.
No,
those
we don't
talk
the one Jim Mora year.
Yes.
In 2010. Yeah.
And then
2009, excuse me. But
2009, because then Pete got there. And the other thing people forget, the first couple of years of the Carroll era were not good. They
weren't good, but it's one of those things where you saw something there.
Yes, the defense was starting to. You could see it, but yeah, I don't
Earl
think
Thomas in particular. Earl Thomas's first 2 years were unstinking believable.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I'm sorry everybody, but I'm the hex because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy an Earl Thomas jersey.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk much. He always just does his job. He's really good. And like right after I decided to buy the jersey, that's when he started chirping. That's then the year later he's flipping off the sideline. I'm like, oh man, sorry everybody.
God. Breaks his leg in Arizona.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I remember clear as day. What was it? I think it was the Seahawks played the Giants in 2011, and they picked off Eli Manning like 4 times or something like that. And that was prime Victor Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Prime Victor Cruz. And
he was salsing all over the place.
It was awesome because I got hooked onto that Giants team because Victor Cruz and stuff like that, and because my last name being what it is. And,
yes.
And people were like, oh, and stuff like that. Like, I'm not even a Giants fan, but sure, let's go with that, ladies and gentlemen. But, and that defense in particular from 2011 going forward was nothing short of unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this is a weird transition because Carroll, to me, I always thought that back at that time,
mm-hmm.
when the Russell Wilson era began in 2012, I thought, okay, they have a defense. If we just had a decent, okay-ish offense, we're gonna go far.
Yeah,
and I think it was the Falcons, the first of the 2 Falcons playoff losses.
Yep,
I said, okay, next year.
Mm-hmm.
Something special is going to happen, and then they go 11-1 to start the year, including it was the Monday night game against New Orleans where they destroyed the Saints 37-7 or something like that. I said, okay, they're going to the Super Bowl. There's only one other team has a shot to beat them, and it's probably San Francisco. But unless the Niners beat them, they're going to the Super Bowl. And sure enough, they did. And it was 2017. I think it was the Texans game where Deshaun Watson just goes off.
Oh,
goes ape shit on the defense. I pretty much said, okay, this might be the beginning of the end. And then it was the Cowboys playoff loss a year later in 2018 where I said, this team is not going to go anywhere unless drastic changes are made. And that was probably the beginning of my rage-induced outrageousness for Pete Carroll. I don't know where yours started for Pete. If you had a moment in time where you can dictate and say, okay, this is to me where Pete lost me.
I see. It's hard because I don't have that defining moment that you have. And I gave Pete a lot of the benefit of the doubt because it's to go back to my mom, I go back to a Christmas, my grandma gets me a Seahawks sweatshirt years ago in the late 90s, and she goes, I didn't even know this was an NFL team. So that's the stuff that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So then my mother later said, because I was telling her, even though she didn't care, she acted like she did. I was telling her, I'm like, Mom, Pete Carroll, he's not doing well. He's not making great decisions. She goes, wait. She goes, hasn't the team not really been that good until he showed up? And I was like, well, yeah. And so I would always kind of replay that in my head a little bit and be like, well, he brought us to prominence, but Pete would make decisions in games. And it's funny that you bring up the Falcons game because he decided to kick a field goal at like right before one of the halves. He tried to get a field goal from like, what was it, like 57 yards? I can't remember.
Something like that. It was,
but
Stephen Hauschka was not, the best kicker in the face of the world.
He was not Greg the Leg in his prime or Sebastian Janikowski, who always kept himself in peak physical condition. But
Loved Sebastian. Love Seabass.
Oh man, his time
such a character.
His time as a Seahawk, like if you go back and look at the pictures, it looks like he went and got his uniform at Target, like off the rack, and put himself in it. But
I love it.
But there were moments or in the Pete Carroll era where you would just be like, why did you do that, Pete? Like, why did you kick this field goal? And the team really started to play as you're talking. So I don't have a defined moment, but it was just, for me, it was a slow simmering rage. But I was still sad to see him go. Like, that was the thing when it happened. I was like, because of the way, but it was a slow simmering rage because over Pete Carroll's tenure in the NFL as the Seahawks head coach, I would argue the Seahawks were one of the most undisciplined teams.
Yeah,
they would always get fined for something. They would be near the top of the league in penalties
all the time.
But the defense was good enough back in the day to overcome those.
Yeah.
But once the defense started to slide a little bit and the offense became what it became, that's when my rage really started, because it's just like, Pete, it's every year. Every year, the stupid penalties. Every year you lose. And his challenge record was horrible. His challenge record was an abject disaster. So I will say mine was not a defining moment rather than a slow, like, running out of patience.
We could both agree, though, that the Jamal Adams trade was his fingerprints.
Oh, yeah.
We could both agree on that part.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. He wanted the safety position was always important to him, and he
Cam
wanted
Chancellor.
Yeah, he
wanted Cam Chancellor again.
Yeah. Yep.
The problem is Jamal Adams is like 5'11", 6 foot. And is a wrecking ball, but he's not 6'4" and can run at safety.
Yeah.
Safety.
Jamal Adams is not going to vault over the offensive line like Cam Chancellor did a few times.
The Panthers playoff game in 2014.
Yeah, and he also, I think he did it twice in a row against the Cardinals too.
He did it twice. No, I think it was Bobby. Bobby did it that one time.
Bobby, okay, that's right. Yeah.
Cam had the pick six, the near blocked field goal. The blocked field goal that was called back. He did it twice in a row in that playoff game. It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that would drive me nuts is that what people didn't understand is that Pete Carroll was the VP of football operations.
Yeah. He had final say.
What people don't understand is that there is the president of football ops, which was Chuck Arnold at the time, and then there's Pete, and then there's John Schneider, the general manager.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't get that and say, oh, John Schneider makes all the decisions. He should have gotten fired. I'm like, you don't understand how the balance of power works in that organization. Yeah, it was a terrible time to watch him go.
Yeah.
It was it was a back and forth emotional day, because I remember my co-host at the time, WS Jack, texted me this and said, Pete Carroll's gone. And I'm like, shut up, no way, because I've been clamoring for this for years.
Yeah, you and I were kind of on opposites in one of the shows where we had you on No Creds. It was you, me, and it was Kevin Wilson. All, three Seahawks fans and Ryan. I felt bad for him that show because he couldn't really say anything.
We pile on the host. It's fine.
But that kind of was like, you were on the one side, like, we need to fire Pete. And I was kind of like, who are we going to get? Who are we going to get? I just didn't think that the team overall was where it needed to be. And I didn't think that a coach would necessarily change that. So I was kind of on the other side. And then I think he was kind of with me,
Where
maybe.
is
But
Kevin? We need to bother him one of these days.
Yeah, we should. But you definitely were like, a change needs to be made. I gotta take my hat.
It needed to happen, and I think it really started like the whole, hey, let's let Russ cook. I agree with a lot of people when they say quarterback. The Russell Wilson trade needed to happen.
Yeah.
Because it was either you move on from you hold on to Russ and you pay him $50 million a year, which he later got from the Broncos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Denver. Or you move on from Russ and see what Pete is like with Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Guess what happened? We traded Russ. Geno Smith took over for 2 years, and the defense, which was Pete's MO, faltered big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And that's, to me, I rambled on this to Jack. I said, there's no way a defensive head coach who prides itself on stopping people, whether it's the run or the pass, has their defense near the bottom of the league year by year by year. There's no way in normal circumstances you keep your job after that. But when Mike McDonald got hired, I thought to myself, okay, this is a young up-and-coming head coach who people are comparing him to a defensive Sean McVay.
Mm-hmm.
That immediately called me on and said, let's see what we got.
Yeah.
And the moves that he made sense. Yes. The Darrell Taylor trade made sense. The Terrell Dodson and Jerome Baker moves and later letting them go made sense. The Ernest Jones trade made sense. A lot of the moves made sense to fit his scheme. Josh Jobe, who was an undrafted free agent from Philadelphia, we picked up off waivers, all of a sudden looks like an all-pro. What the hell happened?
I don't know.
What happened? And Tariq Woolen, I'll still call him Tariq or Reek, whatever.
Yeah.
He's played unbelievable.
Yes. Thankfully.
He's played great.
He regressed last year, and I'm going, oh, man. What happened? But, he's played fantastic. He's rebounded this year.
Yes. And what we can both agree probably is that despite the defensive woes under the last few years of Pete, they had talent.
Yes, they did.
Talent.
They did. And the one thing for as much, see, this is where I'm always going to feel conflicted about Pete Carroll, because on the offensive side of the ball, and I know that the offense, Pete wasn't calling the plays for offense or anything like that.
Let's be honest, that was his system.
Yes, it was his system. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. And people used to say in the let Russ cook era, they were going, they got to hang on to Russ. They got to get rid of Pete because Pete Carroll's system is outdated. He wants to run the ball. It doesn't work in a modern NFL. But then look what he did with Geno. He looked like a damn genius. When Geno
still looks great.
Yes, Geno does look great.
Geno
does look great. Now, I disagree with that other Seahawks fan at the game that we were at a couple weeks ago that kept saying he's him. I'm like, Geno's not him, dude, but he's doing all right.
He's not going to throw for 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
But he's going to give you 30 touchdowns and maybe 12 picks.
Yeah.
But he'll win you 10 games.
Yeah, he can do that. No problem. No problem.
He can.
The only problem I have with Geno right now is sometimes when he tries to do too much and he presses, that's where the old Geno kind of rears its ugly head. That's why that 49ers playoff game, I was like, he's going to try to do too much. He's going to try to do too much. It's going to be bad. And it was bad. It was bad.
And then when Ryan Grubb came in, I thought they were going to somehow claw out, a Cliff Kingsbury for an offensive coordinator. I thought, okay, if we get a Mike Kafka, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, he was in the running. He
was in the running for head coach.
Yeah.
People forget that. And then when I was listening to, what the hell was it? Brock and Salk on the podcast platforms of Seattle Sports Radio. And they were handling it, and Brock Heward, Husky legend, was bringing out rumors. Hey, watch out for Ryan Grubb. If he wants to come back home, watch out for him. And then when McDonald called him and said, be my offensive coordinator, he got the job. I was like, okay.
Yep.
Okay, they're being serious. And this first year gives me hope for the future.
Oh, for sure.
It really does.
For sure. Because I was not, and I remember saying it on No Creds at first. I said, I don't know how to feel about this Mike Macdonald hire, because Ryan, of course, being who he is, he asked me about it. And I was like, I don't know how to feel about it. I really don't. And then I studied up a little bit, because I didn't know much about him. But I started looking at the defenses that he has had his fingerprints on.
Baltimore.
And yes, Baltimore, and then Michigan. The defense in Michigan that Harbaugh won the title with. That was Mike Macdonald's. That was the system he implemented. So I was like, all right. And I also liked it too, because I was so afraid that they were going to hire the offensive coordinator of the Lions,
Ben Johnson.
And I said, you're not going to out McVay. McVay is an offensive genius.
Yeah.
So I liked the fact that John Schneider decided to zig when other teams zagged. You got offensive coaches in the division. I mean, don't forget about the Cardinals now. They've fallen back to earth a little bit, but I still think Jonathan Gannon is a good head coach.
Shockingly enough, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Gannon can be a good head coach.
Yeah. So it's, you have offensive people. Now, people laud the offensive prowess of Kyle Shanahan. And while he may be a good offensive mind, he does not know how to manage late in games.
San Francisco.
But I have to say, like, I liked the hire of Mike Macdonald, but I thought it would take a few years. I thought it would take a few years for him to put his imprint on this team. And I thought it was going to be a couple of years of kind of rebuilding. Maybe we get the 5-6 wins, because I thought the rest of the division would be better than it. I just thought the gap would be bigger.
Thank God.
I know.
San Francisco. Thank God the Niners are tanking this season.
Yes. But the thing is, I still don't want to play them if they start to get healthy,
no.
and I don't want to play
Agreed.
The Rams.
Agreed.
The Rams, I want no part of the Rams right now. That's getting ridiculous. I was rooting for the Niners last night just because I wanted the Rams to lose. But that game I had it on my iPad while I was watching the game.
Death by field goals.
That was terrible. Oh my God.
So bad.
So bad. My fantasy team, I started Cooper Kupp. He gets me a bagel. I'm in the playoffs. I'm screwed.
Would you believe me if I told you that the Seahawks are top 5 in defense in the last 4 weeks?
I would believe that.
Their defense has played great.
Yeah, they have. Great. It's starting to work out. And the other thing I like is there's accountability. You can see with some of the moves that he's made, he's not afraid to be like, oh, we screwed this one up. Let's go get somebody who can handle it. They're making moves. I mean, they're making moves more than they ever did in the Pete Carroll era, as far as I understand.
Game too. How many times have we clamored during the Carroll era to make adjustments?
Yeah.
He never did during the game. Never. Almost never. And I think it was during, what was it? The Jets game. It was the Jets game 2 weeks ago where I said, I was watching with Mom. I said, they're changing the defense. Like, they're doing something. They're counting on their guys, the four guys rushing the passer to get pressure on Rodgers and letting everyone do the rest.
Yeah.
They're doing that. And it's like, okay, that's new.
Yeah. Yeah, because Pete famously, whether you think he's a good coach or a bad coach, wherever you fall on him, I think he's still a good coach. And he could probably coach somewhere in college. If he were to go back to college, I think he'd be good.
He'd be fantastic in college still.
But he would say it. He'd be like, we're not going to adjust the defense because our defense is good enough to.
Meanwhile, they're 30th in the league.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I think sometimes because Bobby was there for so long, which I kind of wish Bobby was still there. He should have finished as a Seahawk.
We'll see where the road takes him.
Yeah, maybe we will. But I mean, I think he just got caught. Like, it's like, Pete, this is not the 2014 defense anymore. Like, you have to adjust it. You can't just. It's not going to be, because especially with the corners, he'd be like, oh, we don't change. I put the people in their spots; they stay there because.
Oh, good God! The Kerry Williams contract.
Yeah.
Oh, good God!
Yeah.
The Kerry Williams contract, the Quentin Dunbar trade, the 5 games of Jamar Taylor. Believe me, I have receipts, ladies and gentlemen. It's so bad. Oh, the good God! Trey Flowers.
Oh yeah, Trey Flowers.
Shaquille Griffin getting $50 million from Jacksonville.
Yeah, which I'll admit, I thought Shaq Griffin was out of the league, but he was in the other night. He came in. I forget who he's playing for, and I was like,
I think he's playing for San Francisco, right?
I think so. Yeah, actually, he's a backup somewhere. But I was like, oh, you're still in the league, man. But the only thing, because I will admit I was proven wrong. I think that the team is rebuilding faster than I thought they would.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. That's what it was. Yes, he was in, because I remember he made a tackle. It was during the Minnesota game. But so I have to say, though, what's your opinion on this? As we're sitting here and we're just commiserating, I put a lot of the offensive line woes and the lack of their ability to grade those offensive line and rate them properly at Pete Carroll's feet.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing some of the hallmarks, like they didn't draft. They drafted Lucas and they drafted Cross, and the return of Lucas seems to have done some good. Like he's had a positive impact, to be sure. Happy to have him back.
Olu's been the center too. Olu was He's been really good. Can you Google this? Was he the Remington Award winner at Michigan?
Let me see.
He might have been.
All right, Michigan.
His senior year at Michigan, he might have been the Remington winner for best center in the nation.
Remington winner. All right, I'm going through Remington Trophy. Oluwamadi wins pair of national awards, claiming. All right, this is from.
He's Michigan. Yeah, he might have been the Remington winner. Yeah. He was.
Outland and Remington trophies.
Yeah,
Outland and Remington.
He was a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. And Christian Haynes, when he's been in, he's been decent. He's been good to decent. The Laken Tomlinson move. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. He's been hard to grade.
Mm-hmm.
He's been really hard to grade. But what we witnessed against the Cardinals, was they said, okay, we know what they can do, the offensive line, versus what they can't do.
Mm-hmm.
They can't push people. Probably. Maybe the pass protection, sure. But what they can do is, hey, they can zone block fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's more of the adjustments that you were talking about.
They're making adjustments. And even Ryan Grubb was like, I got to do something because I got too good of a trio of backs to not do anything. I got too good of a trio of receivers. I got too good of a trio of running backs, or duo, depending on who you ask, if Kenny McIntosh. But, whatever. I think Kenny's going to get more snaps against the Packers. That kid can run.
He might, and the thing is, because even I've noticed it over, and my friend Scott, who I was at the Jet game with, he's a knowledgeable guy. He knows like everybody. He's like an encyclopedia. But baseball is his primary sport. But he used to coach it, so he knows, and he played. But he was turning to me, and he goes, I like Walker, but they're not like, is he more of a, I go, he's side to side. He bounces it to the outside. Anytime they want to get short yardage, they put Charbonnet in there. That's what they do. Charbonnet. Yeah. Sorry. I have a friend.
And I like Charbonnet. I liked it when they drafted him.
I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll sip on the Charbonnet.
Never change, Dustin. Never change. Oh God. Where is it? I gotta find that video. I gotta find it. My reaction, ladies and gentlemen, is where's Dave Chappelle? There it is.
Or here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could shut the fuck up.
I can't believe I still have it. I haven't got yelled at yet, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't got yelled at by Belly Up yet. Thank God.
Oh man.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
But and then you know what these trio of running backs remind me? Do you remember the running back trio of the Patriots back in the later years of Tom Brady with Stephen Ridley, Shane Vereen, and LeGarrette Blount?
Yes.
That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah.
And George Holani as Brandon Bolden.
Okay.
That's what this reminds me of.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, they're probably not going to give you 1,000 yards, but they're going to give you 600, 700, 800 yards, and then like 12 touchdowns each. Like they're good enough to where they'll pop up for 150 plus Charbonnet last week.
Yeah.
Or they'll pop up for 70 plus each. Not bad. But if this continues against a very good Packers team,
yeah,
they're gonna run the table, and we'll definitely see. Because after Green Bay, it's Minnesota, then Chicago, and then we think is Sunday Night Football against the Rams, Week 18.
Yeah. Which I mean, the Rams are going to be tough, and I will say the only thing that I'm worried about is, the Jets almost had us there. It was a sloppy game, and
it was sloppy. But after the kickoff return, I watched everything go forward, play out, and said, okay, Rodgers is missing his throws, and because of the defense,
he missed Garrett Wilson bad though. Anybody could have made that, and that would have put him up 21-0. That
21-0,
yeah, that would have been so. That's what I'm worried about. I don't want to get them caught flat-footed against the Bears or something like that. I mean, I know that that's probably not going to happen because the Bears abject disaster, but their defense is good in spots and they have talent. So I don't know if the Seahawks will run the table, but if they beat Green Bay, who I will say, look at us, like a couple of veterans, like we've done this forever. Green Bay, because obviously we got to talk about the game. Jordan Love, I've been bemoaning on no creds. He can be had. He throws a lot of picks for somebody that's making all the money that he's making, but that Packer defense scares me. They're good and they're healthy now.
Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Quay Walker still there. Xavier McKinney is a defensive player of the he's defensive player of the year finalist probably. Jair Alexander's still there.
Yep.
So they have talent.
They do.
They have a lot of talent, but they can be had.
Yeah.
And we've seen in years past, Packers defenses get shredded by zone type of schemes, a la the 2016 NFC title game, for example.
Yeah.
The Niners, who ran for 300 yards on the ground with, what's his face? Raheem Mostert.
Yep.
Who would have thought? It's these things to go, okay, they're good, but they're suspect.
Yeah.
We'll get to Packers preview later, but we do need to talk about the Cardinals game.
Yeah.
That was that was the Seahawks' last game, and Kobe Bryant, who was the Jim Thorpe winner for best defensive back, who played mostly opposite Sauce Gardner, who went 4th overall to the Jets, by the way.
Yes.
Kobe Bryant was a 4th round pick, and he's converted beautifully to safety. Beautifully.
Yeah. He's doing
beautiful.
He's doing well. He's picking it up, and I just like you said, the defense is playing, because when they got off to that 3-0 start, I kind of knew it wasn't going to last. Now, did I think they'd slide to the degree that they did? No. But they managed. They are looking good, and you can see that they're playing as a team. The defensive pieces are starting to come together. They're starting to be able to anticipate where people are going to be,
and they're bringing back players that are off, or they're bringing new faces in that were either injured or via the trade market, or they Tyrese Knight has played really well.
Yeah.
Their rookie. You know, the Ernest Jones trade, which you mentioned 1,000 times. Byron Murphy's played really good as well.
Yes,
and
he has.
Uchenna Nwosu's back.
Yes, Uchenna Nwosu is going to make a difference. Of course. I mean,
huge difference.
He was amazing, you know, like last year. He was one of the bright spots, you know, in that final Carroll season, you know. He was a bright spot there.
Before he tore his pec.
Yeah. Yes.
Against the Giants, might I add you.
I know which. Oh man, we can't even. The Giants game that was
the Monday night game.
That one killed me. No, the one this year.
Oh, this year.
I'm like, you can't be. That's where I was starting to lose faith a little bit because I'm like, you can't be blowing games like that. You can't be blowing games like that.
I thought they had it until they blocked the field goal.
Oh yeah,
thought they had it until the field goal got blocked. I said, oh
yeah, no, it was yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, it was bad. My Uncle Al, he and I were texting back and forth. When the Seahawks and Giants play each other, we do not. Uncle Al and I watch football. He's part of the crew. Ryan's in here too. We watch football together. But whenever there's a big Seahawk game or the Seahawks play a team that one of my friends roots for, we don't watch together because I get too crazy. I can't. And my Uncle Al was texting me and he's like saying all this stuff. He's like, the Giants are going to blow this lead. This is pathetic. You know, he's saying he goes, this is ridiculous. And then I just see him deleting everything that he's like, I take back everything I said.
I take back everything.
yeah.
But it which goes back into next transition of the up and downs of this season. I mean, we can go off the deep end about how the offense has been somewhat inconsistent. We could talk about, hey, the defense for the slide that they did for losing 5 out of 6 games.
Yeah.
Or what's his face? No, 4 out of 5. But they made some really good strides.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like that something was missing. And then when Ernest Jones again, when they traded for him, I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
For a 4th round pick in Jerome Baker, who, by the way, Jerome Baker fell off the face of the map.
He did.
The last 2 years.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm much happier, you know, because what was it? With basically Baker and Love swap places, right? I'm much happier with
Dotson, Baker, and when Baker was traded, and then Dotson was later released. I was like, wow, because I liked Terrell Dotson when they signed him. I thought, okay, that's a sneaky good move from Buffalo. That's a really good move. And then you watch the tape more and more and say he's getting pushed like a pinball.
Yeah. Yeah,
which
and
was
that's
sad.
That's the thing. That's the thing too. That's one of the things that we've talked about of the McDonald era. I think he's starting to, like, he's not going to screw around.
Do you hear this cat running around?
I do not hear it. No.
That is Donut, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, who is the mascot of Time to BS, just continues to cause chaos.
Oh man, how do I end up on 2 different podcasts with 2 people who have cats that are the show mascots?
Unbelievable.
You know?
Unbelievable. It's been crazy, but it's let's preview Sunday Night Football, because
all right, yeah,
Sunday Night Football is between the Packers are favored right now, and
I think they should be.
They should be.
If I'm honest about the team, I think they should be.
And the action green jerseys are in effect, and I love those jerseys.
I love them too. And everybody calls them highlighter jerseys and everything. Fuck you. They're awesome.
You know what my mom called them when she first saw them? I think it was against the Vikings one year, and she said, "Why does your team look like a bunch of frogs?" I'm like, you're not wrong, but you're out of line, but you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So I think for what Kenneth Walker is doubtful with an oblique injury.
Yep.
That's what we know.
Yep.
And Artie Burns, who's played nothing this year because Josh Jobe and Trey Brown have been awesome, and more Josh Jobe than anything, because Trey's been okay when he was in. He's been okay. I loved him when he was in Oklahoma in the first 2 years he was here. What the hell? Josh Jobe. But And then Pritchett's been good too. Their rookie from one of the 2 Auburn rookies that they brought in. He's been good too. But Kenneth Walker's doubtful. From what I know, a majority of the Packers defense is healthy.
Yeah. That's
from what I know.
That's what I believe too, because they had those injuries, and I remember Ryan and I breaking down something, and I said, as the Packers defense gets healthier, they're going to be good. But I gotta be honest. The big thing that I'm afraid of in this game is Josh Jacobs, because I initially. And I'll call myself out for it. I initially thought, I was like, why are the Packers getting rid of Aaron Jones to bring in Josh Jacobs? I figured that Josh Jacobs is an upgrade over Aaron Jones, but I didn't think he'd be the type of upgrade that he's been, because Aaron Jones, in the beginning of the year, Aaron Jones looked great in Minnesota before he got hurt, and you're like, see, I'm sitting there, I'm going, see. They didn't even need to bring in Josh Jacobs. But Josh Jacobs, he's run all over people. And honestly, he's the reason the Packers record is what it is. It's him and the defense. Jordan Love, those Packers receivers, you never even know. You don't know who's going to get the ball. Half of them have been injured half the time. Am I just bemoaning about fantasy football? Possibly. But Josh Jacobs is what worries me in this game, because he's proven time and time again. Okay, the pass game's not working. Like if the Seahawks shut down the pass game, which I think they will they be able to shift and stop Josh Jacobs? Because that's the Packers' game plan. If the passing game doesn't work early, they're going to try to get it to work early. And then they're just going to shift to Josh Jacobs mode and maybe throw in an occasional pass to like Tucker Kraft, because I think their tight end has been one of their more reliable targets.
Jair Alexander's out.
Oh, that's big news.
I have the injury report. He is out for Friday's game. As of right now, who is not listed? Luke Musgrave is out. One of their tight ends is out. Dobbs is in. Kenny Clark's in. Who else is in? Elton Jenkins, one of their tackles, he should be fine. But the big one is Alexander, because aside from Xavier McKinney, he's their best defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny Clark is there too, but so that's what we know.
Yeah.
That is what we know. But aside from, Walker being doubtful, and then Trey Brown is out, and Jarek Reed, who's been awesome on special teams, they're mostly healthy, the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And keep the ball away from the Packers offense.
Yeah.
You keep the ball out of Josh Jacobs' hands. You make Jordan Love throw it.
Mm-hmm.
You make him throw it, because you mentioned it before. He's been suspect to picks.
Oh, yeah.
Despite $55 million a year,
yeah,
he's throwing picks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, all biases completely aside, Geno Smith, who at one point was leading the league in passing yards by a mile.
Yeah, he'll throw it around the yard for sure.
What the hell? So, with buck logic, right, ladies and gentlemen? So, it's one of... You have to bank on shutting down the Packers running game and hoping your running game steps up for the second week in a row.
Yep.
And if you give Geno Smith, give 250 yards to Geno Smith and let the running backs take care of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And that defense needs to get after Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs big time.
Yeah.
Because their Packer receivers are not that big.
No.
They're not big targets. This is not the days of Jordy Nelson, Donald Driver, Greg Jennings' broken freaking leg. That's a great reference for those who get it. Devontae Adams in his prime. Like, it's not those guys who are 6'3", 6'4", and can run down your throat. Like, it's not those guys. These are, Jalen Reed, who's 5'11", Romeo Dobbs and stuff like that, Christian Watson.
Mm-hmm.
They're not big receivers, and the Seahawks have physical corners.
Yep.
And physical defensive backs, and they can get after these guys. What do you think?
That's been one of the hallmarks of the Seahawks. Even that's one of the things that has remained consistent as we transition away from the Pete Carroll era. Pete Carroll, he always wanted corners with size and athleticism, but he wanted, he had a fascination with Brandon Browner. We all know it. But
twice
that's one of the things. That's one of the things that that has kind of stayed consistent. You said it. They have physical corners, and they will get after you.
Yeah.
So I agree, and I hope the combo of the Seahawks' physicality at the corner position and Jordan Love's propensity to throw picks could make magic.
Yeah.
Could. I hope it does.
I hope so too, but because we're not going to predict the score, because this is a Seahawks-based show. We're going to show our biases here and there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But we're going to be honest, and if the Seahawks do win this game, they have a very good shot to run the table, because Minnesota's suspect, Chicago's Chicago, whatever the hell they're doing, and then it's the Rams in LA.
Yeah.
So this is big. So this could decide, until week 18 in Los Angeles, the NFC West.
Yeah, it could, because I don't, and it's funny too, because, my boss at work, he talks football with me sometimes, and he goes, your division, what the hell? Who wants it? And I'm like, it's not. The division is better than everybody. I know everybody likes to talk about the records. Oh, nobody's running away with that division. That just means that the parity is pretty good in the division. Yeah. Like
when San Francisco's the worst team in the division.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I don't think what I'm worried about is the Rams also running the table and then meeting us, because that Rams team, they're the scary ones, because they took the Lions to the limit and we know how good the Lions are. They beat
the Bills.
Yes, they beat the Bills. Rather, if not for Josh Allen's historic heroics, that game would have been out of hand. Yep. The Bills got summarily outplayed in that game, but thanks to Josh Allen, they had a shot, and they still lost by 10.
Unbelievable. So before we close out the show, we do need to talk about last night.
All right.
As we're recording in live, the San Francisco 49ers. It pains me, but I love it, because San Francisco talks all that shit.
Oh, they do.
They talked all the shit in the world.
Yeah, bang bang.
Oh, the Niners are gonna win the Super Bowl again this year. And I told them, I told a lot of the fans, I said, I don't trust this team. I didn't trust them from the get-go. And sure enough, Christian McCaffrey's out.
Yeah.
Trent Williams is out.
Yeah.
Bosa's been in and out. Now Drake Greenlaw's back in, but now Devondre Campbell and his quitting ass is out.
Yeah, that's
weird.
Yeah, that was wild. And
that was wild.
And did you watch I watched a clip while I was trying to
was it the Gervais Ward clip?
No, it was what George Kittle had to say about it after the game.
Really?
I've never been a fan of George Kittle, but he was like, that guy, like, we really could have used another linebacker tonight, and you suit one up, and then he decides not to play. I've never seen anybody quit on their team like that. And he said a bunch of other things. He said, I would have had something. I didn't know about it until now. He said, I would have said something on the field if I was aware that it was happening.
Yep.
But he goes, I've never been around anybody in football that's ever done that. And he said, I hope I'm not around it ever again. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, I agree with Kittle on that one.
Yeah.
But they're going to pay. The cap situation is so bad.
It is. And they're going to have to play. They're going to have to pay Purdy money. Yeah.
They're going to pay him, and then they're most likely going to have to get rid of guys like it's fascinating how the outrageous quarterback contracts make this whole thing just go, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah.
Don't believe me? The Philadelphia Eagles paid Carson Wentz $34 million a year and still drafted Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
What if that doesn't tell you about quarterback contracts? I don't know what will.
Yeah.
The Rams in their geniusness traded Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Look how that turned out. They won a Super Bowl, but it's one of those things where you can't help yourself and go, how are the Niners going to do this?
Yeah.
And if it continues to get worse, they might can Shanahan.
Yeah, they might. They might, honestly, because some of his in-game management, especially at the end of games, is not good. And the other thing is, too, and I got to ask you this, because this is the venue where I can bring this up. But I'm not as knowledgeable about the Niners. I'm not as knowledgeable enough. But I've only seen in passing years, specifically at the running back position, it doesn't matter who they have. They always have injuries. For like the last 4 or 5 seasons, they always have injuries. So at that point, I mean, are you looking at like the strength and conditioning staff? Like, what is it?
I remember they had like 4 running backs at one point. It was like Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert.
Mostert
Jared
was hurt.
McKinnon
Wilson was hurt. McKinnon, they signed him, and he barely ever played it down for the Niners because he got hurt.
Yeah. What was it? Tevin Coleman.
Yep.
That one year when they went to the NFC Championship, like they had some really nice running backs that they just couldn't get on the field, and it was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And granted, I'll give their system a lot of credit; they're able to run the ball at will.
Yes.
But after a while, it's always been weirdly enough the quarterback play.
Yep.
Like even Purdy's showing mortality.
Yes, he's starting to come back to earth a little bit. But I don't understand the injuries. And it's been at other positions too. But the running back position is the biggest one. And I'm just like, do you have to like get new strength and conditioning people? Like, what do you have to do?
What do you need to do?
Obviously,
do you need to start taking steroids again? Like,
yeah,
what the hell?
Yeah, it's like obviously something is
McGwire?
going on there. And nobody, I mean, I don't know if Niners fans talk about this, but I think they should be because it's every year. Now McCaffrey's hurt. And oh, guess what? Jordan Mason is hurt. And oh, guess what? Isaac Guerrero left the game. Who the hell is going to run the ball? But yeah.
Who's available? I don't know.
Their cap situation is going to be
it's going to
be good.
Fascinating what they do in the offseason.
It is, and it kind
it's
of
be fascinating
for all the stuff that people heap onto the Seahawks from not moving on from Geno Smith, and I do think they need to draft a quarterback. I don't know if Sam Howell is the answer, but you can see what they're trying to do because, as you said, you give the quarterback all that money, you can't make upgrades to the rest of your squad. Like that's how the Seahawks are trying to build it. They're trying to build. They're not making the quarterback the focus of their team, and I think it's a good thing.
I think they're more likely to trade DK than move on from Geno.
Yeah. Oh, I would say probably
which we'll get to that probably during the next episode. That's one of the topics that I wanted to talk with you about is the potential of a DK Metcalf trade because you're starting to see like, hey, it was running back by committee before.
Yep.
Now it's wide receiver by committee.
Yes, it is. Well, and the other thing is JSN is starting to emerge. He's out-snapped DK the last couple of games. Like
he's out-received DK.
Yes, he has.
The last few weeks.
He's out, yeah. But he also their snap count up to that. It was like DK was still getting the snaps as number 1, and then JSN was number 2. Tyler Lockett, we love you, but I still think you're one of the best route runners in the NFL. But you are firmly entrenched as like the number 3. But now you can see
when
JSN,
Cody White and Jake Bobo are getting snaps over you.
Yeah.
Cody White too, who is. When he made those like 2 acrobatic catches against the Rams, I could not help but see Doug Baldwin.
Yeah, you're talking about one of my favorite Seahawks right now. Angry Doug was always there for a catch when you needed
Steve
it.
Smith like.
Oh yeah, and he played with that's what one of the reoccurring segments. If we end up with occurring segments, if we have to complain about the Seahawks, I'm going to say that Angry Doug bitch of the week or something like that, because he was always bad. It was great.
Always mad. I don't blame him though. You can't blame the guy.
No. But I loved it. But JSN is the number one receiver there now.
Unfortunately, yeah, you're right.
By snap. And also, as you said, he's played better than DK. You can see the emergence is starting to happen. And also, DK gets hurt, and sometimes DK is a little bit of a hothead, and he gets a crazy penalty here or there. So I could, not to spoil episode 2, but I could definitely see it happening.
Yeah, I hear you with that. This was fun.
Yeah,
this was fun.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we close out the show, Dustin, where can they find you and your podcast with Ryan?
Well, you can find me over on X or Instagram at eldusto67, and you can find Ryan and I every Tuesday night, most Tuesday nights at 7:05 Eastern. We do a little nod to the Superstation there, the wrestling time slot, and then also on Saturday mornings for the brunch edition of No Credentials Required. Follow us at NoCredsREQ on social, and give my co-host, if you haven't already, on both podcasts now, give them both a follow. Ryan, I think, is at Ryan Maxey. I'm doing this off the dome.
You'll find it, ladies and gentlemen. Just find No Credentials Required Twitter's no Creds REQ Twitter account, and you'll find him.
Yes,
he's roaming around somewhere.
Yeah, he is out there. He's one of the busiest men in the podcasting game, because he's got the podcast with you, the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast. He's also doing Total Football Extra. He's always got something.
He's everywhere. Going. He might be Belly Up's hardest working man.
I don't know. There's a lot of candidates. I would give it to him.
He's one of them. He's certainly one of them.
Yeah, I would give it to him, but I'd also, hell, he was on the Corner Booth pod last night. But
they still haven't had me on the pregame show. I'm pissed about that. I'd be fun as shit on that.
You would be fun anywhere, man. That's one of the best things. Ryan, I told him this afternoon, because I told him we were doing this, and he said that you already discussed it with him before Three Rails recording. And I was like, I owe it all to you, man. You got me into the ring. You got me out of here. And, that's been one of the fun things, like meeting people like yourself. And now here we are. We're starting this.
Here we go. So they can find me at Staniel Smooth and at Time to BS Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Follow Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Media at Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Media on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. And Kevin is here.
Oh man, speak his name and he appears.
Speak his name, say his name, and he'll appear.
Yeah.
Shout out Joe Hendry. But
no, we definitely got to chop it up.
We do. We need to bullshit with Kevin one of these days.
For sure.
Kevin, bro, we'll get you on one of these days, man. We will. We'll find a way. We will always find a way to cause more chaos. But you can find you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Staniel Smooth and at Time to BS Podcast. Also, be sure to check out my co-host Twitter, Jack. You can, where did I put it in this notes section? At Starblade125. Be sure to subscribe to the program to get more shows of Time to BS with Staniel Smooth, the Staniel Smooth Show, this crap, Seahawks sessions, and soon to be returning BS sessions coming soon.
Oh, nice.
We got more content coming. We're cranking out shit. Don't get me wrong. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming to you from the lovely beaches of Long Island, New York. My name is Staniel Smooth, and I will see you all in this life and most certainly the next one. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen.
See you later. Go.